Imagine this: a woman in her mid 40s sitting alone in a half empty apartment that still smells like the ambition she chased for 2 decades. The ring is gone. The kids only call when they need something. The career that was supposed to fulfill her is now just a title on a LinkedIn profile nobody looks at anymore. And as she scrolls through TikTok at 2 a.m., she stumbles across a video of herself from 10 years ago, confident, loud, proclaiming to the world that she doesn't need a man, that marriage is a trap, that any guy who asks her to cook dinner is controlling, that she's a queen who deserves the world on a silver platter. And now the tears start rolling because the brutal truth finally punches her in the face. She actually had the world, and then she threw it away with both hands. Stay with me until the very end because I'm going to show you exactly how we got here, why millions of women are waking up to this nightmare right now, and why men are never, ever coming back to fix it. If you want more raw, no filter, angry guy content like this, smash that like button right now. Share this video with every man you know who needs to hear the truth, and subscribe with notifications on so you never miss a drop. And while you're down there, check out Angry's Crypto Academy. The link is in the description. That's where I teach you step by step how to buy, sell, trade, and protect your assets in this collapsing economy so you can build real wealth and real freedom. Thousands of guys are already in there stacking for the future. Go click that link and join us today. And if these videos are lighting a fire under you the way they light a fire under me, show some love and buy me a Red Bull. Link in the description. Keeps me awake and angry so I can keep delivering this heat for you. Let's get into it. Picture the year 2014. Feminism 4.0 is in full swing. Every magazine cover, every talk show, every university lecture hall is screaming the same message at young women: you can have it all. The corner office, the six-figure salary, the passport full of stamps, the body of a Victoria's Secret model, and a man who does the dishes without being asked. And if he dares to complain, he's toxic and you upgrade immediately. They were told that marriage is just a piece of paper, that kids can wait until you're ready, on which somehow always means never, that any woman who chooses to stay home and raise children is a traitor to the sisterhood, and that masculinity itself is a disease that needs to be cured. So millions of women listened. They postponed marriage. They postponed kids. They racked up degrees, climbed corporate ladders, collected bodies like trophies. And when the good men who loved them asked for commitment, they laughed in their faces and said, "I'm not ready to settle." They filed for divorce the moment the marriage stopped giving them that new relationship dopamine hit, citing emotional incompatibility or "I just need to find myself." They cheered when their friends left perfectly decent husbands because "you go, girl, you deserve better." They retweeted kill all men jokes and then wondered why men stopped approaching them in public. And the men? At first, the men tried to adapt. They became the woke boyfriend who watched The Bachelor with her and cried during rom-coms. They became the house husband who cooked and cleaned while she worked 80-hour weeks. They swallowed every insult, every accusation, every public shaming. But something started happening around 2018, 2019, 2020. A quiet shift. Men started disappearing, not dying, disappearing from dating apps, from marriage statistics, from society itself. And that's when the panic began. Fast forward to 2024, 2025. TikTok is now flooded, absolutely flooded, with women in their late 30s, 40s, even early 50s making tearful confession videos. The captions read, "I thought I wanted freedom, but now I'm lonely. I left a good man and I regret it every day. Where have all the good men gone?" They sit there in perfect lighting with $1,000 skincare routines and tell the camera, voice cracking, that they followed all the advice. They lived the girl boss dream. They had the career, the apartment, the girls' trips to Dubai, And now they come home to silence. No husband, no children, no legacy, just a cat and a bottle of wine, and the crushing realization that the best years of their life were spent chasing validation from people who don't even remember their names. And the comments? The comments are brutal because the top comments aren't coming from angry incels anymore. They're coming from regular men who simply walked away. You'll see things like, "We're right here. We just stopped caring." Or, "You told us you didn't need us, so we believed you." Son. Or my personal favorite, "Enjoy the career that keeps you warm at night." And the craziest part? These women read those comments, and instead of getting angry, they start crying harder because deep down, they know it's true. Let me tell you about one video that went mega viral last year. A woman named Jessica, mid 40s, former marketing executive, divorced twice, no kids, posts a 15-minute crying breakdown. She says, and I quote, "I was told my whole life that I could have everything, that I didn't need a man to be happy, that marriage would hold me back. And now I'm successful, I'm independent, and I've never been more miserable. I would give anything to go back and marry my college boyfriend who begged me to start a family with him. But he's married now, he has 4 kids, and he blocked me on everything, on over 10 million views." And the sound she used? That sad violin audio that every regret video uses now. It's become the unofficial anthem of an entire generation of women who bought the lie. But here's where it gets really interesting. While women are making these regret videos by the thousands, men are doing the exact opposite. Men are posting glow up videos. Men are posting monk mode transformations. Men are posting videos of their minimalist apartments, their gym progress, their crypto portfolios, their passports full of stamps from countries where they're treated like kings. And the captions say things like, "Divorce was the best thing that ever happened to me. Single at 45 and happier than I've ever been. She took the house, I kept my peace." Men are not crying on camera. Men are smiling on camera. Men are thriving. And that contrast, that stark, undeniable contrast, is what's driving women absolutely insane right now. Because for the first time in 50 years, women are watching men live the life that women were promised: freedom, peace, options, adventure, financial independence, about zero drama. Men took the red pill that women thought only applied to them and said, "You know what? This actually sounds pretty good." And now men are living it while women are left holding the bag of an ideology that sold them a dream and delivered a nightmare. I want you to really let this sink in. For decades, society told men, "Step up, be the provider, be the protector, sacrifice your dreams so she can live hers." And men did it. Men worked the dangerous jobs. Men died in wars. Men built the infrastructure. Men paid the taxes. Men shut up and took it when the courts stripped them of everything in divorce. And what did men get in return? They got called toxic. They got called oppressors. They got told their natural instincts were dangerous. They got replaced by government checks and corporate ladders and battery operated boyfriends. So men did the only rational thing left to do. They walked away, not in anger, not in rage, just quietly, calmly, logically walked away. They stopped getting married. They stopped cohabitating. They stopped simping. They stopped caping for women who wouldn't cross the street for them. They went monk mode, leveled up, stacked money, built brotherhoods, and created lives so fulfilling that the idea of adding a modern woman to it feels like voluntarily signing up for stress, drama, and financial ruin. And now, the same society that pushed men out is shocked that men aren't lining up to come back and save the day. Universities are 60% female and dropping. Marriage rates have collapsed to historic lows. Birth rates are below replacement in almost every Western country. And women are asking, where are all the good men? Lady, they're in Medellin, they're in Thailand, they're in the gym at 5 a.m., they're in their home office stacking Bitcoin, they're on fishing trips with their brothers, living their best life. They didn't disappear. They just stopped making themselves available to people who told them they were worthless. Let that sink in for a second. They didn't disappear. They just stopped making themselves available to people who told them they were worthless. And the best part, men aren't angry anymore. That's what women can't stand. Women expected men to beg. Women expected men to cry and plead and promise to change. Hey guys, in a world pushing you to own nothing and be happy, crypto is your key to survival. Join Angry's Crypto Academy to master buying, selling, and trading crypto. Make huge profits and safeguard your wealth. Plus, discover the one crypto virtually no one is talking about, poised to create new millionaires in the upcoming bull run. The link is in the description of the video below. Go check it out now. But men didn't do that. Men said, okay, cool, and left. And now men are happier than they've been in generations. Men are free. Men are at peace. Men are winning. And women are making regret videos. I want to read you some real captions from real TikToks that are blowing up right now. These are word for word. I'm 38 and I realize I priced myself out of the marriage market. I was too picky and now I'm alone. I told my husband he wasn't ambitious enough. He left and started a company that's now worth millions. I work retail. I thought being child free would be liberating. Now I'm 42, and my friends with kids won't let me around their children because I mocked them for years. I was a feminist in my 20s. Now I'm 45, and no man wants me. I get it. I wouldn't want me either. These aren't isolated stories. This is a cultural moment. This is the great reckoning. This is what happens when an entire generation of women believes the lie that men are optional accessories instead of the foundation everything else is built on. And here's the part nobody wants to say out loud, but everybody knows is true. Biology doesn't care about your LinkedIn profile. Biology doesn't care about your follower count. Biology doesn't negotiate. Your fertility window is not extended because you're a boss babe. Your ability to pair bond doesn't improve after you've had 30 partners. Your value in the sexual marketplace doesn't increase at 40 just because you finally decided you're ready to settle down. The wall is undefeated. It always has been. It always will be. Men figured this out. Men accepted reality and adjusted accordingly. Women were told reality was sexist, so they ignored it until it slapped them across the face. And now it's too late. I need you to picture something with me. Picture a 35-year-old woman in 2015. She's sharp, she's pretty, she's got a master's degree, she's making $120,000 in marketing, she's got the downtown condo, the rescue dog, the ring light for her Instagram stories. Every weekend, she's at brunch with the girls, bottomless mimosas, and they're all laughing about how their exes were trash and how they're living their best lives. She's got a roster of situationships, a finance bro, a DJ, some startup founder who sends her Uber Blacks at 2 a.m. She's riding the carousel like it's never going to stop spinning. And every time a decent guy tries to lock her down, she laughs and says, I'm not ready to settle for anything less than perfection. Fast forward 10 years. Same woman, now 45. The condo is the same, but the building has gone downhill. The rescue dog died 2 years ago, and she never got another one because pets are too much responsibility. The hair is still dyed, the fillers are still fresh, but the eyes are hollow. The brunch girls have scattered. Some got married to rich guys and ghosted the group chat. Others had kids and disappeared into mommy world. A couple spiraled into wine mom depression. The roster dried up years ago. The finance bro married a 27-year-old Pilates instructor. The DJ moved to Bali with a 23-year-old influencer. The startup founder sold his company, bought a ranch in Montana, and married his high school sweetheart he reconnected with on Facebook. And her, she's on Hinge with the age range set to 35 to 55 because anything younger feels predatory and anything older feels like a retirement home. She's swiping and swiping and swiping. The likes have slowed to a trickle. The men who do match are either divorced dads looking for a second mom for their kids, Players who see the crow's feet and assume she's desperate, or the occasional unicorn who's actually decent, but that unicorn takes one look at her profile that screams strong, independent woman who don't need no man, and keeps scrolling because he already knows the script. She tells herself she's still a catch. She updates her prompts, looking for a partner in crime, not a project. My love language is acts of service and international travel. No hookups, no drama, no games. Translation: I spent my prime having fun. Now I want a high value man to pay for my lifestyle and give me the family I never had time for. And every week she gets more bitter because the men who used to chase her are now chasing women who are the age she was when she thought she had all the time in the world. This isn't one woman, this is millions. The data backs it up. In the United States right now, 63% of men under 30 are single compared to 34% of women the same age. Let that number hit you like a freight train. Almost 2 out of every 3 young men have opted out of the dating market entirely. They're not failing at dating, they're refusing to play the game. And when researchers ask them why, the top answers are always the same: it's not worth the risk. Women have unrealistic standards. Dating is too expensive. I'm focused on myself right now. They're not crying about it. They're lifting weights, building businesses, traveling with their boys, and sleeping diagonally across king size beds without anybody stealing the covers. Meanwhile, the gender happiness gap has flipped for the first time in recorded history. Young women are now reporting higher rates of depression, anxiety, and loneliness than young men. The same women who were told, you're the prize, are now medicating themselves to get through the weekend. The same women who mocked men for wanting traditional relationships are now making TikToks asking, is it too much to want a man who leads? Yes, queen? When you spend 15 years telling men that leadership is toxic masculinity, it actually is too much to ask now. Let me take you through the timeline of how we got here, because this didn't happen overnight. This was 50 years in the making. 1970s, no fault divorce becomes law across the West. Suddenly, a woman can leave a marriage for any reason or no reason and take half the assets plus child support plus alimony. Men start getting nervous. 1980s, women flood universities and the workforce. The message becomes, a woman needs a man like a fish needs a bicycle. Men are told to support women's success while still being expected to pay for everything. 1990s, the girl power era. Media starts portraying men as bumbling idiots who can't tie their own shoes without a strong woman to guide them. Fathers are replaced by sitcom laugh tracks. 2000s, dating becomes digital. Women discover they have infinite options. Hypergamy goes into overdrive. The top 10% of men get 90% of the attention. Average men start getting ignored. 2010s, social media explodes. Feminism mutates into its fourth wave. The punitive wave had Me Too, Believe, All Women, toxic masculinity, mansplaining, manspreading. Every natural male behavior is pathologized. Men are told they're the problem just for existing. Marriage rates start free falling. 2020s, the dam finally breaks. Men look around and say, wait, why are we doing any of this? The risks: false accusations, financial ruin and divorce, constant criticism, zero respect, now massively outweigh the rewards: conditional affection and expensive dates. So they walk. And here we are in 2025. The walkaway movement isn't a protest, it's an exodus. Men didn't burn the system down, they just stopped feeding it. They stopped participating in a game that was rigged from the start. Now, every week there's a new think piece from some legacy media outlet asking the same panicked question: where have all the good men gone? And the answer is so obvious it hurts. They're exactly where you told them to go, away. And they're in the gym at 5 a.m. while you're still asleep. They're in their home office stacking crypto while you're doom scrolling. They're on a beach in Portugal sipping a beer that costs $2 while you're paying $22 for a salad in Manhattan. They're playing poker with their brothers on Friday night while you're refreshing Bumble, wondering why nobody's texting back. They're sleeping 8 hours a night without anybody nagging them about taking the trash out. They're free. And the most delicious part of all this, men aren't telling women to change. Men aren't making content begging women to be better. Men aren't starting movements to bring women back. Men are just living quietly, happily, abundantly, and the silence is deafening. And women, that's it, spent years saying we don't need men. Men heard it, men believed it, men acted on it, and now women are shocked that words have consequences. I want to tell you about a private Discord group I'm in with about 800 high performing guys, entrepreneurs, engineers, traders, former military. Average age is 38, average net worth is north of 7 figures. Guess how many are married? Less than 5%. Guess how many want to get married in the future? Zero. These are the exact men women keep saying they can't find. They exist, they're thriving, and they have zero interest in signing a contract that gives someone the legal right to destroy their life on a whim. One guy in the group, let's call him Mark, just turned 44. Ex-wife cleaned him out in 2019, took the house, took the dog, took 60% of his income for 8 years, even though they had no kids. He moved into a 400 square foot studio, started over from zero, and in 5 years built a software company that's now worth 8 figures. He dates when he wants. Beautiful women half his age who treat him like a king because he's calm, he's kind, he's wealthy, and he has no intention of ever getting married again. Last month, he sent a picture in the group chat, him on a yacht in Croatia with two models, and the caption, "This is what peace looks like." Not bragging, just living. That's the new standard. And women see these stories and they seethe because they know they're not part of that picture anymore. They priced themselves out. They gambled their best years on a worldview that told them men were disposable. And now the casino is closed. And I want you to understand something that almost nobody is willing to say out loud. This is not reversible. The men who have walked away are not coming back. You cannot shame them back. You cannot legislate them back. You cannot guilt them back. The juice is no longer worth the squeeze. The trust is gone. The social contract is shredded. And once men taste real freedom, real, genuine, no strings attached freedom, there is no offer on earth that will make them trade it away again. Women are starting to figure this out, and the coping mechanisms are wild to watch. First, it was denial. I don't want those men anyway. They're all losers. Then it was bargaining. Okay, I'll lower my standards. I just want a good guy who makes 100,000 and is 6 feet tall and has a jawline. Then it was anger. Men are trash. Men are scared of strong women. And now we're finally hitting the depression stage. The endless regret videos, the therapy appointments, the antidepressant prescriptions, the I was lied to confessions. Acceptance is still a long way off because acceptance would require admitting that an entire generation of women made irreversible mistakes based on ideology instead of biology, based on slogans instead of reality. And that level of accountability is too painful for most to face. So instead, they double down. They make TikToks saying, "I'm happy alone," while crying into a ring light. They adopt another cat. They book another solo trip to find themselves in Bali. They tell themselves the lie one more time: my life is better without a man. But the body keeps the score. The empty guest room that was supposed to be a nursery keeps the score. The silence at 7 p.m. on a Friday night keeps the score. The way their parents stopped asking about grandkids keeps the score. And no amount of self-care spa days can outrun the truth forever. Men, on the other hand, are not keeping score anymore. They've closed the book. They've moved on. They're building legacies that don't require permission from a system that hated them. They're creating wealth that can't be taken in a divorce. They're cultivating peace that no one can disturb. And they're doing it all with a smile. This is the part where the story flips, fellas. This is where the power dynamic that existed for centuries finally inverts, not through force, not through laws, not through violence, but through the most powerful weapon men have ever had: indifference. When you stop caring, you win. When you stop needing, you become untouchable. When you stop chasing, everything you ever wanted starts chasing you. And that's exactly what's happening. Women are starting to chase now. They're in the DMs of men they ghosted 10 years ago. They're writing long apology texts to exes who moved on. They're lowering their standards so fast, it's giving them whiplash. They're offering to sign prenups, to pay half the bills, to cook dinner every night, whatever it takes. And the men are reading those messages, chuckling, and going back to their regularly scheduled lives. Because peace is priceless, like freedom is priceless. And once you've had a taste of both, there is no going back to the plantation. Let's start with the numbers nobody on legacy television wants to put on screen. In the United States right now, the total fertility rate is 1.62. That's well below the 2.1 replacement level needed to keep a population stable without mass immigration. Japan is at 1.3. South Korea just hit 0.72. Italy, Spain, Germany, Canada, the UK, every single Western or westernized country is collapsing demographically and collapsing fast. We are watching the largest voluntary self extinction event in recorded human history, and it's being driven almost entirely by the choices of modern women combined with the rational withdrawal of modern men. Think about that. For the first time ever, an entire civilization is choosing not to reproduce itself because the two halves of the species can no longer stand to be in the same room together long enough to raise children. That has never happened before. Not to Rome, not to Greece, not to any empire. They all fell to war, plague, or conquest. We're doing it to ourselves with dating apps and ideology. And the economic consequences are going to be biblical. In about 15 to 20 years, the worker to retiree ratio in most Western countries is going to flip from roughly 5 to 1 to 2 to 1. That means two working age people trying to fund the pensions, healthcare, and social security of every one retiree. The math is impossible. The system collapses. And who's going to feel it first? Single, childless women in their 60s and 70s who spent their earnings on handbags and vacations instead of building families that would take care of them in old age. I want you to picture 2045, a 65-year-old former girl boss living in a 600 square foot apartment because that's all her 401k can afford after inflation destroyed it. No kids, no grandkids, maybe a niece or a nephew who visits once a year out of obligation. She's on a fixed income that barely covers rent and cat food. The government safety net has been gutted because there aren't enough young workers paying taxes. Home care aides are $85 an hour and have waiting lists 6 months long. And the only people checking on her are the Amazon delivery guy and the robot that brings her medications. That's not hyperbole. That's the actuarial projection. Japan is already living this future. They call them kodokushi, lonely deaths. Tens of thousands of elderly people die alone in their apartments every year and aren't discovered for weeks or months. The government now has special cleaning companies that come in to remove the bodies and the smell. That's where we're headed if current trends continue, and they will continue because nothing reverses a fertility collapse once it goes below 1.5 for a generation. Nothing. But here's what almost nobody is talking about yet: the gender split in that coming poverty wave is going to be brutal. Men who walked away early are preparing. They're child free by choice, debt free by design, geographically mobile, and many are stacking assets in jurisdictions that can't be touched by Western divorce courts. They've got crypto, precious metals, remote income streams, and passports from countries that still value men. When the system buckles, They'll be on a beach in Southeast Asia, living like kings on $2,000 a month, while back home a studio apartment costs $4,000. Women who followed the have it all script, most of them are going to be broke and alone because the same society that told them men were optional also told them they didn't need to save, didn't need to invest, didn't need to think past 45. And now the bill is coming due. I want to show you a chart that should be plastered on every college campus in the country. A 2024 study out of Norway, one of the most equal countries on earth, tracked lifetime earnings and wealth accumulation by gender and marital status. The results are devastating. And married men, highest lifetime wealth of any group. Single men, second highest. Married women, third. Single, childless women, dead last. By a mile. Single women over 50 in Norway right now have less than half the net worth of single men the same age, half. And Norway has generous pensions and social safety nets. Imagine how much worse it's going to be in the United States when Medicare and Social Security are means tested or flat out bankrupt. That this is the part where the coping really kicks into overdrive. You'll hear women say, "Well, I'll just work until I'm 70." Great plan. Except the corporate world is already quietly phasing out older women. They cost more in healthcare, they're seen as less adaptable to new tech, and companies know they can hire a 28-year-old for half the salary who'll work twice as hard to prove herself. Ageism hits women harder and earlier than men, always has. Others say, the government will take care of me. The government is going to be run by people who don't have enough workers to collect taxes from. The government is going to be rationing health care and cutting benefits just to keep the lights on. The government is not your husband. And that's when the real panic sets in. Now, let's talk about the passport phenomenon because this one is accelerating faster than almost anyone predicted. 5 years ago, passport bro was a niche term. Today, it's a full blown lifestyle. Hundreds of thousands of Western men, many of them six-figure earners, fit, well groomed, emotionally stable, have permanently relocated or snowbird to countries where women still smile when a man holds the door, where family is still the center of life, where masculinity is celebrated instead of criminalized. Medellin, Colombia, Bangkok, Thailand, Cebu, Philippines, Da Nang, Vietnam, Bucharest, Romania. The list grows every month. These aren't broke losers hiding from child support. These are doctors, engineers, tech founders, investors, men who realized they could take their remote income, cut their cost of living by 70%, and be treated like human beings again. And the women there, they're not perfect, but they're feminine, loyal, family oriented, and grateful. They cook, they clean. They don't call the police because you looked at them funny. They want marriage and children before 30, not after 40. And Western men are marrying them by the tens of thousands every year. I want you to go on YouTube right now and search Medellin dating vlog. You'll see 28-year-old American guys who couldn't get a coffee date back home walking down the street with stunning 22-year-old Colombian women hanging off their arm, beaming with pride because they finally found a man who leads. And the comment sections are full of seething Western women calling them predators and losers. Translation: how dare you go where you're wanted? That rage is real because every man who leaves is a walking referendum on the failure of Western feminism. Every expatriate wedding photo is a billboard that says, this is what you could have had if you hadn't priced yourself out of the market. And it's not slowing down, it's accelerating. Entire industries are springing up around it. Dating coaches who teach men Spanish and game, relocation consultants, expat real estate agents. There are now private men's groups with 50,000 plus members sharing visa strategies, cost of living spreadsheets, and reviews of which cities have the best women to men ratios. This is organized, this is permanent. Meanwhile, back in the West, the gender ratio on dating apps is approaching 10 to 1 in some cities, 10 women for every one man. And the men who are still there are either the top 5% chads collecting harems or the guys who haven't figured out they have options yet. The average man has checked out completely. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room that's about to become a mammoth: artificial companionship. That by 2030, the combination of AI girlfriends, virtual reality, and advanced sex robotics is going to make the current dating market look like the Stone Age. We're not talking about blow up dolls. We're talking about custom designed companions that look, feel, and respond better than most real women, with zero drama, zero risk, and 100% obedience. Companies in Japan and China are already shipping units that can hold conversations, remember your preferences, warm themselves to body temperature, and never argue about where to eat dinner. The price is dropping fast. In 5 to 7 years, a high end model will cost less than 1 year of dating the average Western woman. And men are going to buy them in droves. Because once a man has spent a decade being told he's toxic for wanting affection, sex, respect, and peace, and then he's offered all four on demand with no strings attached, the choice becomes painfully obvious. Why roll the dice on a real woman who might destroy your life when you can have perfection that plugs into the wall? This isn't sci fi. This is the trajectory we're already on. The early adopters are testing the tech right now. The reviews are glowing. And when the price hits the sweet spot, it's over. The sexual marketplace, as we know it, collapses overnight. Women are going to scream that it's creepy, that it's dehumanizing, that men should work on themselves instead. But men tried that. Men worked on themselves for 20 years and got called oppressors anyway. So now men are saying, fine, we'll date our peace instead. And that's the final stage of the walk away movement: total replacement. We're now entering the part of the story that almost nobody is ready to hear, because it's not about feelings anymore. It's about money, power, and the complete rewriting of society over the next 20 years. This is the part where the walkaway movement stops being a personal choice and becomes the dominant economic and cultural force on the planet. Let's talk about the greatest wealth transfer in human history that's happening right now, quietly, under the radar, and it's flowing almost entirely into the hands of men who walked away. For the past 50 years, men were told their primary value was as a utility: earn, provide, protect, then disappear when you're no longer needed. Most men accepted that role. They got married, had 2.3 kids, bought the 30-year mortgage, worked 60-hour weeks, handed over 60 to 70% of their income to the household, and then got divorced at 45 and handed over the rest. The average divorced man in America loses 73% of his net worth. That's not an accident. That's the design of the system. But something changed around 2015 to 2020. A critical mass of men looked at that contract and said, no thanks. They never got married. They never cohabitated. They never mixed finances, dances. They kept their income, their assets, their time, and their peace. And because they refused to play the game, they're about to inherit the earth. Let's run the numbers cold. The median single man in his 40s today has 3 to 5 times the investable net worth of his married counterpart. Why? Because he never had a wife spending his money on renovations, private schools, and girls' trips to Tuscany. He never paid alimony. He never lost half his 401k in a divorce settlement. He lived in a small apartment, drove a paid off truck, ate steak and eggs, and threw every extra dollar into index funds, crypto, real estate, or his own business. Now, zoom out to the macro level. There are currently 63 million adult men in the United States. Roughly 38% of them have never been married, the highest percentage in recorded history. And that number is climbing 1 to 2% every single year. That's 24 million men who are keeping 100% of everything they earn. In 10 years, that will be 30 to 35 million. In 20 years, it will be the majority. These men are not broke. They're not basement dwellers. The average never married man over 35 with no kids has a higher net worth than the average married father. They own more Bitcoin per capita than any other demographic. They own more rental properties per capita. They have lower debt loads, higher savings rates, and zero legal liabilities tied to another human being. This is the silent millionaire factory nobody is talking about. While married men are liquidating their assets to keep an ungrateful ex wife in Pilates classes, single men are compounding. While married men are working overtime to pay for braces and college tuition, single men are buying their third duplex cash. While married men are arguing about whose turn it is to take the minivan to the shop, single men are on a plane to Lisbon for the weekend because they felt like it. And in 15 years, when the economy resets and real estate crashes 40 to 60% because there's nobody left to buy the McMansions, guess who's going to be sitting on piles of dry powder, ready to buy everything for pennies on the dollar? The same men who were called losers for refusing to get married. This wealth explosion is going to create a new aristocracy, the Brotherhood of men who opted out. You're already seeing the early stages, private men's clubs popping up in every major city, not the old cigar smoke country clubs, but compounds with gyms, saunas, podcast studios, crypto trading floors, and 24/7 security where women aren't allowed past the front gate. All male masterminds where the cheapest membership is 50,000 a year and the waiting list is thousands long. Offshore trusts structured so no Western court can ever touch them. Private islands in the Caribbean that are quietly being bought up by groups of 15 to 20 high net worth men who want a permanent bachelor paradise. This isn't fantasy. This is happening right now. I know a guy in Austin who bought 200 acres an hour outside the city with 14 other men. They built a compound, main house, gym, range, helipad, Starlink, the works. Total cost split 15 ways was less than one divorce settlement. They call it Valhalla. Women are allowed as overnight guests only, never to live. Every man there is between 35 and 55, 8 figures plus, and happier than they've ever been in their lives. That model is being replicated in Montana, Idaho, Texas, Tennessee, and soon abroad. These aren't fringe weirdos. These are former CEOs, surgeons, hedge fund managers, tech founders, men who realize that the greatest ROI in history isn't another startup. It's simply not getting married in the West. And the women who spent years mocking broke men are about to find out that the men they ignored quietly became the richest cohort in the country. Now, let's talk about the collapse of female dominated industries, because this one is going to hit like a sledgehammer. 75% of all consumer spending is controlled by women. That's the statistic marketers have lived by for decades. Entire industries were built around female spending habits: fashion, cosmetics, home decor, weddings, therapy, yoga, wine, travel, luxury handbags, reality TV. The list is endless. What happens when 30 to 40 million men permanently remove themselves from the dating and marriage economy? They stop spending money on women. No more $300 dinners hoping to get a second date. No more $10,000 engagement rings. No more destination weddings that cost 80,000. No more paying for her lifestyle so she can post hashtag blessed on Instagram. That's trillions of dollars a year that just vanishes from the female driven economy. We're already seeing the first cracks. Wedding industry revenue has dropped 30% since 2019 and keeps falling. Jewelry stores are closing locations. High-end dating apps are hemorrhaging male users. OnlyFans is plateauing because the top spenders, married men in their 40s, are either broke from divorce or woke up and canceled their subscriptions. Give it another decade and entire sectors collapse. Bridal magazines go bankrupt, luxury handbag companies pivot or die. Therapy practices that catered to strong, independent women start closing because the clients can't afford $250 a session anymore when they're choosing between therapy and rent. And the ripple effects hit everything. Real estate tanks because nobody needs 4 bedroom houses anymore. Public schools start closing because there are no kids. Maternity wards shut down. The entire consumer economy that was built on male provisioning and female consumption implodes. And the craziest part? The men don't even notice. They're too busy living better than they ever have. Now let's talk politics because this is where it gets really spicy. For decades, women have voted as a near monolithic bloc: left, progressive, big government, more social programs, more regulation, more taxes on the rich, which always means productive men. Single women are the most reliable Democratic voters in America. Married men lean heavily Republican. Never married men over 30, they're swinging hard right fast. Why? Because they have no skin in the game of the welfare state anymore. They have no kids in public schools. They have no wife demanding subsidized health care. They have no incentive to vote for policies that transfer wealth from them to single mothers. They're keeping what they earn, and they want the government to leave them the hell alone. In the 2024 election, the gender gap hit record levels. Trump won men by 18 points. If current trends continue, by 2032, the male vote is going to be so overwhelmingly conservative that the Democratic Party as we know it ceases to exist in its current form. And the issues driving that shift: immigration, men don't want to pay for other people's kids; taxation, men are done funding lifestyles they're excluded from; and family law reform. Men want the divorce industry burned to the ground. You're going to see the rise of explicitly male advocacy parties in multiple countries within the next 10 years. Not fringe, mainstream. Because when 40% of the adult male population has zero stake in the current system, they start voting like a unified bloc. And politicians ignore that at their peril. We're already seeing the early versions in places like South Korea, where the gender war is so extreme that young men elected a president almost entirely on anti feminist promises. That's coming here. It's coming to Europe. It's coming everywhere. And the final piece: the complete redefinition of male community. For the first time in modern history, men are building parallel societies, not hiding, not coping, building a private gyms that ban women after 8 p.m. so men can train in peace, fight clubs, hunting lodges, offshore banking networks, crypto funds that only accept male investors, land projects, boat clubs, flight schools, gun ranges, churches that openly teach traditional masculinity and refuse to apologize for it. These aren't boys' clubs. These are the new monasteries of the 21st century. Places where men gather to become stronger, richer, wiser, and happier without apology. And women are not invited. Not because men hate women, because men finally learned that peace requires boundaries. Here's the final push. This is the part men have been waiting for their entire lives: the exact no BS blueprint to permanent freedom, plus the one thing that could, in theory, stop the walkaway movement and why it will never ever happen. And first, the blueprint. If you're a man watching this, any age, any income, any country, these are the 10 non negotiable steps you execute starting today. Do them in order, do them ruthlessly, and in 5 to 10 years, you will be untouchable. Step one: get your body right. 6 days a week in the gym, minimum. Lift heavy, eat meat, sleep 8 hours. Your testosterone is your superpower. Protect it like nuclear launch codes. A jacked, lean man at 45 gets more respect and options than a rich, fat one. Fact. Step two: get your money right. Live on 50% of your income or less. Everything else gets stacked: high yield savings, Bitcoin, index funds, rental properties, or your own business. Debt is slavery. Kill it. The goal is fuck you money by 45. Enough passive income that you can tell anyone, anywhere, to pound sand without raising your blood pressure. Step three: location independence. Structure your income so you can run it from anywhere with Wi Fi. Remote work, online business, trading, consulting, whatever it is, make it portable. Because the moment your own country becomes hostile, you push one button and you're gone. Step four: multiple passports and residencies. Start the process today. Paraguay, Panama, Thailand, Portugal. whatever fits your budget. A second passport is the ultimate divorce from a dying society. When they change the exit tax or try to draft you into some new war, you just leave. Step 5, never marry in a Western jurisdiction, ever. If you absolutely must marry, do it in a country where prenups are ironclad and the culture still values family. Colombia, Philippines, parts of Eastern Europe, places where till death do us part still means something. Otherwise, stay single and date whoever brings you peace. Step 6, zero cohabitation. If she has a key to your place after 90 days, you've already lost. Keep your castle yours. Hotels, Airbnbs, her place, whatever. The moment she's on the lease or the deed, the countdown to losing half begins. Step 7, vasectomy or extreme birth control discipline. Harsh truth, a surprise pregnancy with the wrong woman is the fastest way to derail 20 years of discipline. Protect your seed like it's Fort Knox until and unless you meet a woman who deserves to be the mother of your children. Most men never will. Step 8, build your brotherhood. 5 to 10 high caliber men you would take a bullet for and who would take one for you. Weekly meetups, annual trips, shared investments, emergency protocols. Your brothers are your new family. Blood relatives come second when the system turns on you. Step 9, go silent online about your wins. Post your gym progress, post your food, post your travels, but never ever post your bank balance, your real estate, or your long term plans. The moment women and simps know you have resources, the targeting begins. Move like a ghost. Step 10, monk mode until further notice. No situationships, no talking stages, no healing broken women. Your time, energy, and resources go into you and your mission only. Date for fun if you want, but the default setting is solitude and abundance. Peace is the ultimate luxury. Do these 10 things, and in a decade, you will look around and realize you're living a life previous generations of men would have called paradise. No boss you hate, no wife who disrespects you, no kids who were taught to hate you, no government with its hand in your pocket every April, just freedom, strength, wealth, brotherhood, and options until the day you die. That's the prize. Now, the final question everyone always asks, could this ever be reversed? Could women or society do something so dramatic that men would come running back? The answer is yes, in theory. If tomorrow every Western country did the following simultaneously, repealed no fault divorce, made false accusations a felony with mandatory prison time, returned family courts to a 50-50 default custody and zero alimony model, criminalized paternity fraud, minus restored legal protections for male only spaces, taught young women again that family greater than career, femininity greater than feminism, respect greater than entitlement, and publicly celebrated masculinity instead of pathologizing it, then yes, millions of men would reconsider. But let's be adults here. None of that is happening ever. The political will doesn't exist. The financial incentives all run the opposite direction. The media empires were built on female consumerism and male shame. The divorce industrial complex is a multi-$100 billion machine. Politicians get elected by promising women more of men's money. Universities are 60% female and indoctrinating the next generation even harder. There is exactly zero chance the system voluntarily gives up that power, which means men have exactly one move left. Keep walking. And that's the most empowering realization of all. You don't need to protest. You don't need to argue. You don't need permission. You don't need them to change. You just need to leave the game and build your own table. And when enough men do that, the old table collapses under its own corruption and greed. That's not a prediction. That's a guarantee. So, to every man watching this right now, your grandfather didn't have this option. Your father didn't have this option. You do. Take it. Walk away. Build your body. Build your wealth. Build your brotherhood and build a life so good that looking back feels like remembering a prison sentence. The age of men begging for scraps is over. The age of men as kings has begun. And to every woman who spent the last 20 years telling men they weren't needed, you were right. We're not needed. We're finally free. But that's the entire story. From the first regret TikTok to the last man locking his fortress door behind him, we went from the tears to the triumph, from the collapse to the comeback, from the plantation to the paradise. What did you think about all this? Do you agree? Do you see it playing out in your own life, your friends, your city? Drop your thoughts in the comments. No filter. Say what you really feel. I read every single one. I like the video if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you like the video, share the video. And just remember that all roads lead to MWA, men walking away, and cheers.
Nothing says you care like crypto. Nothing can compare. Nothing says you care like crypto. Oh, nothing can compare to crypto.